Hey there. So I just did a video talking about the rainbow gatherings, and I've done a few of them in the past, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the sort of organization, as it were, of the rainbow gatherings, because in my opinion, it's really an ideal political structure, or at least as close to ideal as you can get, perhaps. So the rainbow gatherings have been going on for more than 40 years, since 1972. They were organized, out of the hippie movement of the 1960s. And the first rainbow gathering was in Colorado in the summer of 1972. And then it became a regular tradition every summer around the 4th of July. The sort of official dates are July 1st through 7th. Then people gather in the woods. They're a experimental, intentional community, basically. The full length of the gathering actually happens for a good 6 weeks or so. So you can show up early June, and it'll be just getting started. You can help out with the setup and everything, and then through at least the middle to end of July, then people are doing the cleanup after the festival has happened. They are completely free-form festivals. They're unlike Burning Man, which is a massive festival of 50,000 people gathering in the desert of Arizona, which I haven't been to, but it's similar crowd basically. But for the rainbow gatherings, you don't need to buy a ticket. Anybody can show up, and there's no charge. It's always held on public lands, and funds are gathered by donation at the community circle, the evening dinner circle every evening, which is generally in a big meadow. And so, thousands of people will show up for this dinner circle, and then a hat is passed around the circle for people to put donations in. And because there's no charge for the use of the land, because all the food is done in bulk quantities, just big bags of bulk rice and beans and lentils and potatoes and everything, then it's extremely cheap. And then also just people come with supplies as well, and then people set up kitchens scattered all throughout the woods. So you don't just have to go to the dinner circle in the evening in order to get your meal. You can wander around through the woods, and you'll come across a kitchen making popcorn, a kitchen making pizza, someone making cake, or just serving up, for breakfast, maybe muesli or pancakes or whatever. Now they're vegetarian. That's kind of one of the few rules about the rainbow gatherings. One is that they're vegetarian, and no alcohol is allowed in the gathering area. There's an area called A camp, for alcohol camp, sort of outside the main gathering area, where they can have alcohol and might make meat, but it's like in the parking lot area where everyone leaves their vehicles. So getting back to the title of this video, Ideal Political Structure. So how the rainbow gatherings actually come together and happen is quite simply those who choose to step forward and take responsibility also get corresponding power that goes along with that in making the gatherings happen. And as I said, there's no leader. There's really no rules other than those few rules, and obviously non-violence, and just be generally responsible, clean up after yourself, etc. But there's no designated, this person is supposed to do this, or this other person is, the person to go to for this. Not officially anyways. But people gain sort of reputations of sorts based on simply stepping forward and taking responsibility. There are those who, scout out the site, find an ideal site that has a water source, because you have to obviously have a natural water source for all these people showing up, because not everybody's coming with bottles of water, and so usually you find a spring of some sort in order to tap into with a plastic pipe, and then you'll get people can show up and drink clean water from a spring, not from a creek or something that could possibly be polluted. So people with knowledge and experience and the desire to take responsibility simply step forward and do so. And in my opinion, this is really an ideal political structure, in that, nobody can really abuse their power, because their power is purely based on the respect of the other people. And if somehow someone is doing something that's out of alignment, then people are no longer going to listen to that person, and they're not going to have any power, quite simply. Now, there's one aspect of the Rainbow Gathering that is by consensus, and that is at the end of the Rainbow Gathering, then it is determined where the next Rainbow Gathering, the following summer, is going to be taking place. So it happens somewhere in the lower 48, the contiguous, continental United States, every summer. And I should also mention that Rainbow Gatherings happen worldwide. I actually went to one in India, a very small little one on the Arabian Sea back in 1999. They now happen worldwide. There are also smaller regional ones that happen around the United States. So it isn't just the one big national Rainbow Gathering. So at the end of the U.S. National Rainbow Gathering, then it is determined where the basic region or state where the next Rainbow Gathering is going to take place. And that circle is based on consensus. And consensus means everybody has to agree. Now, you can imagine 20 or 30,000 people obviously are not going to agree on anything. But 20 or 30,000 people don't show up to this meeting. It's based on the consensus of whoever shows up. And this is towards the end of the Rainbow Gathering, after the official July 1st through 7th dates. I believe it usually starts on July 10th. And so a lot of people have left, and of the people that are still there, not everybody shows up. So at most, maybe it would be 100 or a couple hundred people, most likely more like a few dozen people show up to this meeting, which would happen in the same meadow where the community dinners happen, most likely. And a feather or a conch shell or a stick or whatever is passed around, and whoever has that particular object is the one who gets to speak. And they get to speak for as long as they want to speak. They can speak for 2 hours if they want to. But that would be obviously really annoying and boring, and it's based on just, you just have to be sensitive to the group and respectful, and understand that if you start to annoy and piss everybody off, then you're going to take some heat, basically. So the feather or whatever is passed around, everyone gets to speak, and anyone who wants to can say, at some point, I propose such and such, I propose the gathering is going to be in Washington State, or Florida, or wherever, and then with that, then everyone gets a chance to speak. I forget exactly how it works, if just somebody can object, or if the feather is then passed around, or what. But based on that motion, as it were, if anybody objects, then it keeps on going. And this meeting can happen for days. It very regularly happens for several days. And people will come and go. Obviously, you don't have to sit there the whole time. So this is just an example of how, politics, as it were, or how the organization of humans can take place. And it does work. It's been happening for more than 40 years. What I will say is that there are obviously limitations to this model. This isn't going to work in a city of 10 million people. And so I'm not an idealist who thinks that, ideally this should be imposed on the world at this time. When you're talking about a population of 7 billion people around the planet, and the fact that we have, nuclear power plants and subway systems and highways and, weapons all over the place, all these things that, for the most part, I fundamentally wish would disappear. but they are a reality of our world, then I don't see how this could possibly actually work in terms of organizing millions of people. And you really pretty much have to have official people in charge of things like nuclear power and running the oil wells and dealing with cruise ships and airplanes and airports. And so I'm not, I am a realist in my view, and I don't expect that this could necessarily solve all of our problems that we have on the planet at this time. But just something to think about there, at least within smaller groups of people, which personally I think is also the ideal political structure, is tribalism essentially. But I don't see how that takes place with 7 billion people on the planet. So you'll see what the future holds. It's also my view that planet Earth is not necessarily meant to accommodate 7 billion people, and so perhaps there will be a reckoning of sorts, and there won't be that many people on the planet at some point in the future. We shall see. So that's just my view. Thanks for watching. Take care.